everyone, and welcome to the virtual 11th edition of TechSparks 2020. I'm Deepthi Nair, and it gives me great pleasure to host today's panel discussion on enabling consumer discovery and marketing in the digital age for SMBs. As SMBs pivot to online models and embrace digital transformation in the new normal to bounce back in these challenging times, the rules of customer engagement, discovery, and marketing are all undergoing changes. In fact, in a recent report by HP on digital transformation, over 73% of SMBs in India expressed confidence that they will survive and bounce back post-COVID-19, a number significantly higher than the regional average of 60%, the report said. To deep dive further into this discussion, we have with us Rohan Bhargava, the co-founder of CashKaro. Rohan began his career with an asset management fund in 2004 and then moved on to a US-based hedge fund before venturing into entrepreneurship in 2011. Welcome, Rohan. We also have with us Rohit Chawla. He's the founder and CEO of Bare Anatomy. Rohit previously founded the Man Company, helped iLabs Ventures, and worked with Deloitte, Accenture, and EY before founding Bare Anatomy. Welcome, Rohit. Joining Rohit and Rohan is Narasimhan Tupil, Nash, General Manager, HP Stores, E-commerce and Digital Businesses, India Market, HP. Narasimhan is a business leader and with over 2 decades of work experience in the IT industry. At HP, he leads the charge for the online business, revenue, and OpEx, and is responsible for building technology infrastructure. Welcome, Nash.
Thank you.
So without much further ado, let's just jump into it. And let me start with you, Rohan. What are the new trends that you are at CashKaro witnessing in the SMB sector? How is CashKaro enabling these small businesses to drive sales and to gain traction in terms of revenue and publicity?
Thanks, Deepthi. I think that's a great question to kickstart this session. I think, some of the interesting evolutions that we have seen, right, as part of the post-pandemic, or I think we're going through this. I don't know if it's post or during pandemic. I think has been there is a very stark and drastic shift and acceptance towards online, right? And I use online very, very broadly, whether you're talking about OTT channels, short video apps, to commerce, right? So I think commerce has definitely been one of the beneficiaries, right? If I can say that as a benefit to this current situation. Right after markets started opening up in June, July, the feedback that we had from our retail partners, the actual on-ground reality through traffic on our website, we realized that we've actually never been stronger, right? So if even in June, July, when we were comparing our numbers to Feb and March, we were actually coming out stronger, right? And that was a very, very refreshing data point, right? That look, we are coming through the cycle and numbers are looking very, very strong. Commerce is looking good. What we also saw was a very, very quick acceptance and adoption towards digitization, right? And this happened across banking, insurance, but also a lot of brands started to think the digital space, right? The online space. So while there were, companies like, let's say, Forest Essentials who would, not have looked at online that seriously, suddenly it became a very, very core focus. You have guys like Lakme who have, traditionally been a offline distributor type of business who now have an online presence. So there is that one change that we have seen. In terms of how we're helping, SMBs or online companies, our core value add is as a marketing platform. Right? So we are what I would say in the true sense, a performance marketing platform. We only charge our retail partners a fee if we drive a sale to them. Right? So for example, I take one of my users to Amazon, that person now on Amazon does a transaction. That is the only time we get a marketing fee from them. And I think we have, because of the virtue of that model, we have been able to work with a very, very large number of e-commerce companies across the vertical, right? So from the large Amazon Flipkarts to, some of the smaller players, and helping them drive a lot of performance-based traffic, and consistently proving that we are cheaper than Google and Facebook, right? So typically when a business starts off, their go-to-market strategy is, how do I get so let's say if it's a fashion brand, they probably want to target online fashion shoppers, real shoppers, right? So people who are shopping on Amazon and Myntra and Ajio and these sort of websites, right? We provide that for them. Right? So we know over the last 6 years where people have shown interest. Now these are real shoppers, right? And the model we work with is performance, right? So we are telling them that, look, you pay us 10, 15, 20%, but you only pay us when a sale happens, right? So it is this perfect win-win model, which unfortunately other platforms like a Google, Facebook don't give you, which is on a click basis. So I think that's how, we've been working with online companies and SMBs in this current phase.
Rohit, Bare Anatomy has navigated disruptions caused, how has, in this pandemic period, you have navigated, so to speak, to, mitigate so that your business continuity happens. And what are the 3 drivers that you feel, that SMBs can overcome, your tips rather, for SMBs to overcome this challenging time?
Sure. I mean, I think everyone I know has probably gone through a challenge, whether it was a short term or a long term, but there's hardly anyone who has not faced that, except a few players in the market, maybe like sanitizer manufacturer guys, right? So I think we face the challenge because we are a vertically integrated model. We actually manufacture everything ourselves. What we're making because of the entire concept of personalization, right? It's an algorithm-based formulation. So what happened was that we kind of had to stop the production overnight because of the lockdown, and we didn't know when it will open. Today, in hindsight, we can say this would have been better, but at that time there was no clarity. It was a 1 week, 2 week, and it kept extending. The labor in the factory left, and they probably couldn't come back also, right? So a lot of challenges happened at that time. What we did was we obviously kind of went into standby mode for a little while. We started doing it ourselves, like the founders also got involved making stuff, whatever we had to pick up and drop people because we got permissions to open. One thing good that happened was that we got the sanitizer production a little earlier than lockdown because we anticipated something like this could happen. So that really helped us survive that time for a little bit. We started giving free sanitizers with our orders later on also, which customers really appreciated. And really that helped us because then they would tell their friends also, and we did not even jack up the prices. We kept it at bare minimal. Actually, we were giving it for free, with our orders. So that kind of a creative concept helped us work a little better.
So what you're saying is you anticipated that there was something like this and you kind of pivoted. Of course, sanitizers was not your main core thing, but you did that, and that's what has actually, through the pandemic helped a lot of businesses, right, to pivot to that thing. Yeah. So we'll come back to that again. Rohit, hold that thought. Nash, tell us, many segments in the SMB space are witnessing digitization, and now everybody is clamoring to be online. They are far from being digital native, right? They have so many challenges. First, the most important challenge, I think, for all of them is, who should I talk to and what should I be doing right now? What is my first thing that I need to do to be online, right? So how can businesses, pivot to becoming digital native while keeping costs low? And that's the most important thing again, right? How can I do it all at a low cost?
So first of all, thank you, Deepti. So I think we have no option but to be digital native. I'll just give you one example. 5 years back, none of us used WhatsApp. Now even my 80-plus-year-old mom uses WhatsApp and she has become a digital native. Okay, all of us have no choice in this regard. Okay, also we have seen as a nation, we have leapfrogged into the cell phone era without going through a high landline penetration, which has gone in other developed countries. So the same can be done in digital too. Okay, I have this concept of 4 C's, what I call in digital the 4 C's, basically creation, consumption, currency, and commerce. Okay, so all the 4 are going to go to digital, right? So whether it's creation, edutech, or consumption, whether it's a Netflix or a Hotstar, or currency, as you know, in Beam or whatever it is, and then commerce, like e-commerce, right? So all the 4 will go into digital. For SMB specifically, I think there are two things which are making it mandatory for them to go digital. One is the GST regulations associated with the government infrastructure push. I mean, it makes it mandatory for almost any SMB who has a revenue of more than 20 lakh turnover to claim input credit. They have to go into digital. That is one. The second thing is, if you are a service provider, whatever service you provide, let's assume in a white collar job, whether it's a chartered accountant or a lawyer or an ad creator or marketer or a Soho, you can no longer physically shake hands with anybody, right? You need to work, collaborate, and learn from home in the new normal. So both the GST and the COVID has been a huge transformation for digital. And if you take retailers who are themselves SMB, like for example, you're a small shoe shop or a computer shop or a printer shop, they themselves must invent into the omni-channel world where the customer journey is contactless and non-linear. So I would take all these mega trends which are happening and actually jump into the bandwagon. And for anybody who's saying I am not a digital native, I've been a digital native, all I will say to them is, do you use Android phone and do you use WhatsApp? And did you use it 5 years back? All these so much? They will say no. If you can do that, then you can digitize your operation. It is as simple as that.
Yeah, Rohan, as I said earlier, that they need a lot of hand holding, and Nash also mentioned that, right? So what are some of the strategies that you feel SMBs can deploy to help them bounce back from this pandemic? And also, while many of them realize the value of innovation, in executing it can be difficult. So what are your suggestions in this regard?
Sure. So I think in terms of, bouncing back, right, as Nash sort of also alluded to, I think going digital is mandatory. I think that is where the consumer is headed. If you see where they are spending time, it is not on your traditional television or radio or the newspaper, right? It is on your short news app, your short video app, your OTT platforms and other places, right? So I think digital has to happen, right? And if you don't, I think you've kind of missed the bus in a big way. That said, today going digital, at least, the way I would view it, has to start from the top. So I think the business leader, the entrepreneur, whoever is envisioning the product has to be thinking digital first. The way they build the company, the way they're thinking about, even how you manage your daily business, right? Today, whether it's on Teams or Zoom or whatever, are we setting the right kind of framework from the top that digital first has got to happen? And the beauty of the world we live in right now is that being digital first has become simple, right? And simpler than ever before, right? So for example, if you wanted to reach, let's say, 20 million people who like fashion with an online shopping behavior, you can do that through Facebook ads very, very easily. You wanted to further narrow that down to people in Patna only who have that kind of behavior, you can do that very easily, right? Very hard to do it in any other way. And it's available at a click of a button, right? So in literally 5-10 minutes, you're live and enabled. Right? You then have tools like CleverTap or Branch or Hotjar or, good old Google Analytics, right? That, 10 years back, 15 years back would have been products that, would have been privy only to the massive MNCs, right? The big giants of HPs would have said, look, we can afford Omniture, right? Today, Google Analytics is available to the common man, right? Day one, you are, you have the information that you need, right? So I think if top down, you are ready to adopt, learn, maybe change if you've not kind of digitized. The beauty is the process is simple. And I think these tools are available. There are lots of beautiful blogs and information pieces available. Digital education through guys like Udemy and others is easily accessible. Platforms like CashKaro make it easy to kind of market your product. So I think there's, digitizing is critical, but it's also very easy to do today. Is what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. and easy to do also, and perhaps also at a low cost or perhaps no cost, especially when you're just figuring it out and testing the
Absolutely.
waters. For instance, social media, Instagram, then of course WhatsApp businesses are there, and like
Correct.
businesses there, and so many other things. So it's easy, as you're saying.
Exactly. And I think free is critical, right? Because, if you look at tools like Branch, CleverTap, Hotjar, they all have a free package, right?
Yeah.
Google Analytics is free. A lot of things that you can do on YouTube, WhatsApp, Telegram, all free. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Rohit, you are a new age D2C brand. You're not selling on these e-commerce sites. You have your own website where you want the consumer to come in, and because your products are also very personalized, right? You are personalizing for that consumer. So how did it work for you? Because how did you get the word out? For people to know about your brand. Tell us a little bit about this. A little. Because D2C, a lot of companies we are seeing, a lot of new age consumer brands we are seeing are adopting this business model.
Right. So I think it's a very interesting question and a right time, I guess, to discuss this. So D2C is direct to consumer, right? Actually, when you bypass the middleman, whether it's your retail wholesaler or even your Amazons, right? It's actually the true form of D2C. It's just that it's very complicated if you do it by yourself completely without a partner for sales. It's just difficult, right? But anyway, so we want to do that because this was a part of our strategy right from when we, got the idea itself. The whole point here was that your strategy has to be aligned if you really want to go this path. You can't just decide or pivot any day you want, right? Like, okay, let me be D2C today. Okay, it's not working. Let me go Amazon or let me go retail. It has to be a thought through process, because what I've seen is that when you don't think through this completely at the foundation of the company, pivots get very expensive later on. So we are a data-driven company actually, and we have a lot of tech angle to it. When we take, let's say, we are personalizing a hair quiz, a hair care product or a skin care which we just launched last week. What happens is that we take a lot of customer data and we formulate products according to that. So what happens is the whole premise was that there is a greater satisfaction, and which leads to more referrals for us. Right. So that has something that really worked for us in the start. When an industry average of referral is around 2.2%, we could have around 30%, because people were not even not just, posting or appreciating, but they were telling their friends and other people also. So with a very smart referral strategy, I think we got first, we didn't even spend so much on any ad platform initially when we got our first set of customers, and that eventually helped get viral on.
Mm-hmm.
Because as Rohan was telling, it's very easy to build a brand today, or very easy to start something, but it's extremely difficult and painful to sustain it and actually scale it at the same time, right? So I mean, if you talk to investors, they will all say, okay, you know what, 5 years down down the line, when we started something, it was very different. It was a new thing, right? So we were growing, everything was great, but now we have seen the cycle, and every day the barriers for entries are getting less, right? If you are in, barrier entry. So it's just easier. So how do you differentiate yourself, right? Every brand or every company, SMB, has to think around that.
Yeah. You talked about that your data-led company, that you rely a lot on data. Now, how are you collecting and leveraging this customer data and insights for boosting engagement and driving sales? And how also tell us, impress upon SMBs now, that how crucial it is to understand your customer, and how being online helps you do that. Because Rohan also talked about Google Analytics, and that's a good way to understand what's happening with your business, with your product.
I mean, so that's actually very interesting, because knowing your customer is the key, right? If you can't understand this in an overwhelming world, especially when everyone's getting online, it's getting actually trickier now, right? For those who are doing well digitally, now it's getting harder, because the same ad inventory everyone's fighting for, right? Because those channels haven't expanded, like, right? So we use our data, because what we do is, like, when Rohan was mentioning around some tools like CleverTap, so we have obviously that, right? We are obviously very advanced in terms of tools and technologies that we use and leverage. So we have a strong retention team which works with all these tools and figuring out, because we already have those databases. Because when I'm taking a quiz for, let's say, a hair, right? We try to understand your scalp type, we try to understand your hair structure and your lifestyle conditions. So we know which kind of segment you fall under. And that helps us target you with the right messaging. Instead of having a one messaging like a TV ad in a traditional concept, right? We could now tailor it with the truest form with the data. Like we know you have like a fine hair, so we know what could be the issue with you and we target accordingly.
Yeah.
So that's why we are changing our marketing, and that was obviously the plan always, right? So that's what we are implementing and executing at a faster rate. And it helps because the customer is also appreciating, because instead of just getting a random flash email for sale, which is what everyone does sometimes, right? Because when they want to get some revenue, we send tailored messages to based on the data points, which actually customer says, okay, instead of cluttering my box, this is something actually relevant for me. I don't really care about your new launch, if it's not relevant for me, right? If I have, let's say, an oily scab or you're launching some product, I don't need to know about that, right? So we kind of filter that and kind of not clutter a customer's inbox. And when our mail goes, we have a very strong open rate as well.
Okay. Yeah. That's interestingly, newsletter marketing is a new thing, right? Again, it's directly to the consumer, telling them about, your products, etc. So we'll come to that. We'll come to the marketing aspect after this. According to the HP report, which is very recently launched, Indian SMBs, also recognized 4 key aspects that will help them boost to bounce back, right? So these were, the first one was using online tools. So 34% felt that if they had online tools, it would help them bounce back better. Flexible work options, which is 33% of them. Advice on strategy, 32%. And innovation at work, the report said. So if we could, if Rohit and Rohan, if you could, and Nash, if you could go through each of these and let's see how we can help understand these aspects, right? What are these online tools, right? And how do you have this flexible work options for SMBs? How each sector, each industry can have their own kind of stuff, because for them work from home is like, it's unheard of, right? And what sort of advice or strategy will you give them, and what sort of innovation do they need to look at, just not from their business processes, but also as well from reaching out to consumers?
Let me take the tools one, right? And I think we've covered some of it, and maybe I can go into a little more depth on maybe 3 of the tools that I think are lifesavers, right? Google Analytics, I think that is the #1 tool. It's free. It's very easy to implement. The tool gives you very, very great insight on what people are doing, where are people coming from. It integrates really well with your AdWords account, your Facebook account. So it is probably one of the best tools to know what is happening on your website and what are people doing. There is Firebase for the app, and you get sort of great insights there. The second one that we use very extensively as a tool is CleverTap. CleverTap is a beautiful marketing automation tool where, I think Rohit, you mentioned, the aspect of just-in-time marketing, having marketing be very personalized. And, with CleverTap, you can do that, right? So the idea is that, let's say somebody comes onto CashKaro and clicks on Ajio. They have kind of put their hand up saying that, look, I'm interested in Ajio. Now, let's say in an hour, if we see that they haven't shopped on Ajio yet, I can automatically poke them, right? I can upsell an offer. I can tell them that, hey, you know what, the cashback was 10%. Hey, if you shop in the next 2 hours, you can get 15% cashback. And you can personalize it at every single journey, right? You can then create journeys, and it's, because it's a simple, flowchart based tool, it's very, very easy to implement. The third one that we use is Branch. Branch is again a great tool for knowing where is your traffic coming from, right? So for example, you may want to know that, we are doing app notifications, we're doing marketing on Facebook, on Google, but what is actually happening, right? Where is all the traffic coming from on my web, on my app? And Branch kind of solves that for you very, very beautifully and very simply. So I think these are the 3 tools that I would absolutely vouch for. The fourth one is probably Hotjar, which is a heat map tool. All are there in a free version. So, if you're just starting off, take the free version, integrate, and, start to use them.
Rohit, what about you? Would you like to take up the others, the strategy, advice on strategy and innovation? Yeah.
Right. So I think in terms of strategy, I think this also leads to one of your earlier questions about the drivers, for SMBs and to overcome these challenges. I think strategy is essential because when you're not completely digital or you're not digital savvy, in traditional businesses, having the right strategy is very important. Like having the right organization design is actually critical because as Rohan also mentioned that it's important to get a buy-in from a senior leadership. What I've realized is that a lot of people are into it, like they agree that it is required, but they are not able to execute at the right pace. And that's because what I learned was when I was speaking to a lot of people is that it's the entire organization that needs to get a buy-in, right? Not even the junior levels, the middle management, because a founder can get tired if the company is not aligned to be digital oriented, right? So eventually that becomes a battle within the company rather than with a competitor or something like that. So I think it has to be like that. And right training modules if required, or realigning the org chart is extremely important at this time to think through it before we actually go for anything. So that's the key actually over here. And hiring is actually very important as well because one is it's extremely hard to find the right talent these days. Anyone probably can vouch that, given the demand for digital folks, right? So when you find a good talent and you bring them in your organization which is not digitally aligned in many ways, that person will leave. They will get frustrated because something that's so obvious to them may require a lot of processes, right? So like, in the earlier times when you used to do consulting, we realized the CIOs and the CTOs were not a part of board meetings or very important key management meetings, right? They were always excluded till the point came where it became a no-brainer that the technology folks, the leaders in technology, have to be a part of the boardroom, right? Or those kind of meetings. Is the same situation today, where if you have a digital head or someone, he cannot be excluded from those critical meetings, because if you're trying to be digital savvy, having strategies made with your digital, probably a CMO being a digital first is actually also important sometimes. So those things I think are very key before we, even start executing things. It will just otherwise be a never-ending battle.
Yeah. Nash, would you like to take the innovation at work aspect?
A very simple thing, like it's 7 times tougher to acquire a new customer compared to retaining an existing customer. So you have to become, and I would say that data about your business is key for growth. Whatever innovation, whatever you want to do, first you need to know what you're doing. Okay, the data. I mean, there's a beautiful analytics is the combustion engine or the internal combustion engine. In my view, you need to know 3 things: KYC, KYS, and KYI. So basically, know your customer, know your sale. You should know what all sales you have done in the past, and know your inventory or product or service. Okay, these are the 3 reasons for success in a digital world. And also I feel the rise of phygital, or where physical and digital is going to take off. A good example is, you have to use both. If you're in a shop, I was just seeing this jewelry shop, selling jewels which is worth in lakhs by a video demo. And in our stores, in HP stores, we sell a lot via video demo, which is actually merger of physical and digital, and we deliver to your home without even you coming to the shop. So technically, in my view, any innovation starts with knowing your customer, knowing your data points, and doing, to put it in a very simple way, if you're not digitally savvy and if you're not digitally discoverable, your business is as much as a dodo. It's gone the way of the dodo bird. So you ceased. If you can't be discovered online, you cannot exist offline. So any innovation you do should be around leveraging the power of data of your own company, of your own customers, of your own sales, inventory, products, differentiation, and then using it to the best effect in the digital. In fact, I'll talk a bit later about what is the value proposition HP can bring to some of the SMBs later, but I think this answers the question which you asked me for now.
And also Nash, I wanted to check with you, how can HP help SMBs grow their business and cut costs?
So that
how are you?
Sure. So first of all, what has happened, for a long while, we thought PCs are dead and printers are dead, right? And In fact, people are saying we are going to paperless office, who is going to print anymore? Or, we have smartphones here, who is going to use the PC anymore? But just look at what happened in the last 6 months. I think everybody on the call here, we are not using our smartphones to do the call. We are using our PCs, right? And so the rise of PC as a category for learning, for education, for working from home. I mean, look at your kids, they all use PCs, they don't use smartphones. So if we just see first of all, for an SMB, PC becomes a very important tool. Okay, PC and printers become a very important tool. Not because I'm in HP, I'm saying this, but because of the fact the relevance of the category has grown dramatically post-COVID. Okay, that is one. And where does HP play a role? I think for SMBs, specifically for SMBs, the first thing is having downtime is bad. When you're a small company and you're running the entire thing on your computer, having a downtime is bad. So having a very secure and manageable and a reliable infrastructure with anytime, anywhere support is very key. I think HP can play a big role here. We have a package called the Super 6 package. It is available. We offer 6 services to an SMB, which is installation is one service, data migration, that is if you have from old PC, new PC, and help desk we can offer as a third service, and accidental damage protection. That means if you spill a coffee on your keyboard, or if there is an accidentally you poured water and something goes wrong, we can protect you for that. We give you a once in 6 months tune-up services when your PC goes slow, how to make it farther, and then we can extend a warranty from 1 year to 3 years. So if you see, for a very, very low cost of 5,000 or 6,000 bucks, you can get many of these services, which will give you peace of mind. So I think first SMBs need peace of mind when they have that digital infrastructure, and I think that is the first thing. The second thing is many SMBs are very cash strapped. Okay, they don't have much of money, so we have many models like DaaS, which is device as a service. You can buy a laptop maybe for 3,000 rupees per month, a good laptop, rather than paying 1 lakh rupees upfront, right? Or leasing or rental. And if you see, for example, majority of I think one of the earlier speakers said that the whole thing has become very easy, for a small business to compete with a large business now, right? And the tools, what big companies like HP used to have is something what many of our small companies, our customers themselves use, right? So whether it's taking cloud storage or whether it's taking collaboration software or services, it has actually made the cost of running a business not only low, but highly adaptable. You can have a startup. By the way, HP is a startup. It started in a garage, okay? And we became finally $120 billion company. Now, of course, we split into HPE and HPI. But why I'm saying it is everything starts as a startup, right? And you don't know, you will have 5 employees today. Tomorrow it can be 50, it can become 500. So how do you have a scalable model, for infrastructure which will support it? So I think HP can help in it. So and also the last point I want to say, when the pandemic hit in the month of March and the entire country was in lockdown in April, HP was the first company to actually say, you bring any device of any brand, whether it's a PC or a printer, whether it be a Dell or Lenovo or Canon, Epson, it doesn't matter. We will give you 1 month free of charge support, okay, for that, because we really felt that the people who will really not have any support is SMB, because they are literally, they need that help, and they're really small and they're struggling, I don't know how to connect my Wi-Fi, I don't know how to, this is very slow, can I upgrade my RAM? The hundreds of questions people will ask. And that is where actually HP actually did, and it was very well appreciated by our customers. We did it for the entire month of April and during lockdown, and a lot of customers liked it. So that's where I think companies like HP can play a big role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We talked about marketing as well, and I said we'll come back to that. So this question is for both Rohit and Rohan. What are the strategies that they can adopt in terms of marketing without spending?
So I think your traditional methods, right? Your Google, Facebook, I think are great starting points. I think Instagram is definitely a platform which is probably overshadowing Facebook. I think as somebody said, Facebook is for the oldies, the millennia want Instagram. And I think it's very true. So I think those are your initial starting points. But if you delve a little bit more, right? While we know Google has a very large search engine, interesting enough, YouTube is the second largest search engine. So people go and search, right? And it's obviously, a lot of people don't really leverage the power of YouTube, right? Yeah. So for example, people may go and search things like best shampoo, right? Or best XYZ, or best mobile phone for, and the people that are content creators on YouTube, right, are not your big media companies. In fact, a lot of brands today, surprisingly, are not present on YouTube, owning and dominating that space, right? And that kind of leads into the second very powerful marketing platform, which is YouTube influencers. Now, these people have created an audience in lakhs and lakhs, right? And I think, I'm sure Rohit's leveraging them very well. I know a lot of the beauty brands cover this segment extremely well. So there are these influencers that can work on a product exchange model. So you give them a product, they will do a video, they will talk about the goodness of the product and other things. So I think that's a great opportunity, and you can obviously create your own, right? So it's very easy to today create that YouTube video, talk about the product, etc., etc. At CashKaro we do that a lot, right? So a lot of our team is on YouTube, on Instagram, creating self videos, right? We're talking about our shopping experiences, the things that we have done, so on and so forth. So there is that aspect of it, and then two other platforms that I think are exceptional are WhatsApp. Today, everybody is connected to a community on WhatsApp. And, we are very well organized with college friends, school friends, family one, family two, condo group one, condo group two, and I don't know how many more, right? But, they're all great marketing platforms, right? And if you can, smartly integrate, you can do things there, Telegram. So I think these are great opportunities where you can, I don't know if you can definitely go from 0 to 100, right? Yeah. I don't know if it goes from 100 to 1,000, but 0 to 100, very, very achievable through these options.
True. Rohit?
I think he's already answered, the main stuff. So I think the only one thing I can probably add in this would be figuring out, because I come from the brand space mostly. So, basically figuring out the right channel and the right communication that actually amplifies the content very well, right? So, YouTube for discovery, for example, things which are important, Instagram for discovery again, because sometimes people don't know, they want to see what's new, and if they're following the right influencers and all that. So I think it all depends. And of course, there are certain things you can do on your website as well, like referral strategies, which really helped us. Was around creating the right referrals, which really helps. It's actually the cheapest form, right? Because your own customers are actually communicating on your behalf, which is even cheaper than Facebook or influencers or anything. I think if that is done right, then it's also very interesting. Like Uber did that very successfully when they launched, right? I mean, they were just generous and all that stuff, but yeah. Stuff like that.
Another one, I think if you could elaborate that, is the email marketing, right? That's kind of a hero in the sense who's not seen its time, because we see that works really well when you're targeting at specific customers.
Email is actually a tricky one, to be very honest. It's very cheap from the face of it, but the conversions, unless it's done really well, like warming up the IP, the right segmentation, the right A/B testing for the stuff, it is tricky, and it can actually lead to if someone doesn't have that experience, it can actually lead to a negative thing as well. You're just spending on the tool and on the team, the resources, but it's not really giving you return, then you get turned off, right? So email, and everyone's doing that also, right? So you also have to see that, it just gets very overwhelming, because Google also introduced this folder for promotions now, right? So anyone who has Gmail, which is where majority of people are, so straight away your promotion mails goes into that.
Thank you so much, Rohan, Rohit, and Nash, for sharing your insights. Hope to see you all soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepti.